Okay, hello. This is my 10th lesson in a lecture series on how the United States is starting a new Cold War with Russia. Today's topic, we're going to focus on present-day U.S. attacks on Russian gas, both their Nord Stream 2 and Turk Stream 2 pipelines. All right, we'll talk about that today. And just to review, in the last lesson, we learned about the history of U.S. attacks upon Russian gas, right? Beginning with attacks in 1982 during the Reagan administration, and then culminating up into the 2008 Georgia crisis, in which Russia invaded Georgia, right, made to look like a big, aggressive, expansionist thing, right? But really it was defensive, and it was at a time when Ukraine was screwing Russia with its gas. 80% of Russian gas that goes to the European market passes through Ukraine, and Ukraine was stealing gas. They weren't paying for their bills, big bills building up, and they're violating contracts. Russia's only leverage was to cut off gas for short periods of time, 3 days, right? Or reduce gas for short periods of time. And but nevertheless, this threatened European energy security. And they immediately pushed to get alternative non-Russian gas pipelines built. 3 of them they were pushing. How many times did I say? 9, 10 times, or I forget. No, 7 times. 7 times. Push for 3. Okay. Let's see. The Trans-Caspian, White Stream, and the Trans-Anatolian pipeline here. Okay, getting gas to Europe. All right. So they're, and all that gas went through Georgia. So Ukraine and Georgia are leak, right? These 2 countries are linked. And guess what? In 2008, the U.S. made a big push to get Ukraine and Georgia both into NATO at an accelerated rate through MAP, Program Membership Action Plan. It's accelerated inclusion into NATO, right? Well, that's a distinct and severe threat to Russia, right? So Putin did a tricky move, right? He did the same tricky move that the British and French did back in '56. I explained this, right? A dirty move, right? But it was defensive. He was reacting. Who jacked him up? The U.S. jacked him up. All right, so now on to today's topic. It's on present-day U.S. attacks on Russian gas, right? And what I give you here is a full wording of the House resolution, right? The Senate resolution is almost identical to this, very similar. This is the resolution which are taking action against the Nord Stream 2. And they did the same thing to the Turk Stream 2. Alright, so I'm not going to read you this whole thing. Right? I bolded some key numbers. Russia controls 40% supply to Europe. Right? 11 countries have over 75% dependence on Russia. Blah, blah, blah. A lot of this is bullshit. Right? We got to get gas through the Southern Gas Corridor. We got to get gas through Ukraine. Right? So, I just kind of condensed it, made it easy right here. So in December of 2018, the U.S. House and Senate passed resolutions that, 1, attacked the Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Right, Nord Stream 2 pipeline. Here's the Nord Stream 1. It goes this place there, like Greenwald or something like that in Germany. And Nord Stream 2 would come in from here. Right? Well, pretty much getting the same gas coming from the Northern Lights or Yamal, Europe. All right. And, okay. Turk Stream 2 goes through the Black Sea, like right about there. Right? Okay, so attacked the Nord Stream 2, claiming it'll be a great threat to European energy security. They want to promote the Caspian gas through the Southern Gas Corridor. That's right there, Shah Deniz gas, right, in the Caspian Sea, off Azerbaijan, through Georgia, through Turkey, and then on to Europe. and they want to promote gas transit through Ukraine. They want to force Russia to send gas back through Ukraine. Right now they're bypassing. Right, I mean, this gas is bypassing more Belarus and Poland. What else? Let's wait. Poland there, right? But they want to get gas through Ukraine when Ukraine's causing all the problems. Call for European nations to reject the Nord Stream 2 project, and then threaten economic sanctions against Russia and any companies involved in the development of the Nord Stream 2. They went further than that. They went to any financing companies, I forget what else, and any subcontractors. They're trying to tighten the noose. Anyone and everyone who's involved in that project gets whacked with sanctions. All right. The key U.S. justification for this resolution threat: 1, Russia already has almost 40%, well, it's really 33%, market share of European gas. The addition of the Nord Stream 2 will undermine European energy security. Right? Ukraine has 55 billion cubic meters of unused gas pipeline capacity, and Russia is bypassing Ukraine, and this diminishes Ukraine's ability to apply political leverage over Russia. Okay? Now, this is total bunk. Right? Ukraine is the problem. They're the problem. With their theft of gas, non-payment, huge growing bills, right, contract violations, which forced Russia to cut off gas to Ukraine for 3 days, and thus to Europe, right? And they 3 times they had to do something. They cut off gas here, they reduced gas here, and reduced gas here, right? Now, each time they threaten Europe, right? But who's the cause? It's Ukraine. And that makes Ukraine the threat to European energy security, and we want to give Ukraine more leverage? That's just plain stupid, right? For us to say in this, I don't know who wrote this, right? It had to be written in some damn committee, one of the committees. I'm not sure which. I don't know, but they said that Ukraine was a stable and reliable transit hub. Oh, bullshit! That's such a load of crap, right? They're the cause of the problem. Our congressman paint a picture of Russia holding a gas axe over the heads of Europe, like a guillotine, threatening their energy security. That is bullshit. Russia risks losing the European market if they threaten Europe's energy security, which has been proven out in historical fact. Right? For example, Ukraine's bad behavior, doing all their stuff, stealing, not paying. And Russia cuts off gas for only 3 days. Right? Well, why 3 days? Well, they got to be cautious because they can, lose the European market. Right? To discipline Ukraine, Europe panics and pushes for 3 non-Russian gas pipelines, one of which today is fully operational. Right? I mean, if their demand for gas expands, I'm willing to bet, that Trans-Caspian goes in. It's a short shot, right? If that occurs along with expansion of the Trans-Anatolian, that Trans-Caspian's going in. Far from holding a gas axe over Europe's head, Russia has to walk in eggshells. Right? Well, maybe not that. They got to be careful, though, right? Or they risk shooting their own foot and losing the European market. All right? They risk encouraging entrance of other providers, other competitors, other people who will drive down their price. Because Ukraine has been screwing Russia, Russia's been doing everything it can to bypass Ukraine. They started with the Blue Stream back in 2003. Then, 2005, Ukraine theft is bad, so they consider the Yamal 2 to bypass Ukraine from the northern gas. And then they built the Nord Stream 1 and 2. South Stream, they started to build, but then they got axed with the 2014 sanctions. And then they built the Turk Stream 1 and 2, right? The number 2 for both of these are being attacked today. Now we're trying to force Russia to send gas back through Ukraine when that was the underlying cause of European energy security. If that's the case, well then who's the threat to European security? Well, we are, because we're trying to force it back to Ukraine. Who's the troublemaker? Right? I mean, right? Do we really care about European energy security if we do that? Or is it all just a bullshit cover story? Other than cutting off gas, Russia could possibly threaten energy security by raising price. But that's severely limited by competition, right? I mean, there's plenty of competition available. Russia must reduce price or keep their price down to beat existing gas competitors, to disincentivize entrance of new suppliers into the market. That's always the case. It's not. It's when you do market analysis, right? Only a simpleton would analyze the existing competitors, right? You got to look at any potential competitors, right? And you got to try to assess their number crunching, whether or not they think it's going to be feasible for them. Compete with the falling price of renewable energy or lose market share. Yeah. So they got to compete with all these existing competitors, potential competitors, and existing and developing, expanding renewable energy, or they lose market share to all these if they don't keep the price down. I mean, it's basic supply and demand. This is not complicated, right? I'm willing to bet there's going to be people attacking. Just watch. All these simpleton, I don't want to say what they are, but they're like, I don't believe that. It's crazy, right? And that's past in social reality, right? And that's all that people will understand, so they believe it, right? Just pass a joke. That's all that's required. Competition with other sources of natural gas. All right, so I'll go through some competition, right? Here's a list of competitors. All right, traditional gas in Europe, Groening fields, right here, Dutch, right, spreading out pipelines. Then you got Norway. Then you got North Sea, right? Then you got Shah Deniz today, with the Trans-Anatolian. That's coming from the Caspian. Somewhere in this map, spread it over here. Here's the Caspian, right? Kind of vertical sea. Then Algeria. Look at Algeria. It's got pipelines already to Spain, pipelines to Italy. Looks like they're planning pipeline to Sardinia, Corsica, on into northern Italy. Just kind of jumping across here, right? Romania. I believe Romania is at the third or second largest gas reserve. Well, I think it's third largest gas reserves in Europe, right? And they just found a big gas field off their shores in the Black Sea, right? Turkey just found a big gas field in their economic exclusion waters. And then you get all these LNG plants, liquefied natural gas, being shipped in from all around. Qatar's a big one. U.S. is now big, right? And you can build all these facilities. Iran dumps gas into the Trans-Anatolian, and then you can build all these new pipelines. For example, feeder pipelines inside Europe, in the Balkans here, Brua coming up here, Eastern coming up here, Ionian, Adriatic coming up here. Yeah. All right. So now you have expanding competition from new gas sources. I told you new LNG terminals plus some new suppliers. USA is a brand new supplier. We've only started in 2016, and we were small then, right? Because we didn't have the facilities for processing, cryogenically, converting from gas to liquid and cooling it and all that stuff, right? And the tankers. You need specialized tankers with pressure-containing tanks, which are also insulated because it's got to be kept cryogenic. You got the Brua pipeline, East Ring, Ionian, Adriatic, and then you got expansion of the Trans-Anatolian that's planned, right? You expand the Trans-Anatolian, you got enough demand in Europe. Well, they're going to build that Caspian, right? The Trans-Caspian, right? If you got the flow capacity with an expanded Trans-Anatolian, right? And then even Israel can dump into there. Israel found gas, right? So there's more gas. Middle East countries, Qatar sells the most liquid natural gas, right? But they're looking to get a pipeline through Saudi Arabia, through Syria, up into Turkey, and tap into that Trans-Anatolian, right? So gas also competes with electricity. Whether it's coal, nuclear, hydroelectric, wind, solar, right? And then you got the continuing fall in price of renewable energy, both wind and solar. So here's just photovoltaic cells, right? per megawatt or something like that, right? Look at the price. Look at how it's just tumbled, right? And it's still photovoltaics. There's still plenty of room for technological improvement. There's still plenty of room for improvement in production process. All right, this is where you got the greatest potential for price reduction in the high tech energies. I mean, you think you're going to squeeze more technology out of burning coal? Hell no, right? Or natural gas. It's a pretty damn simple process, right? You got a gas turbine engine, right? The best gas burning systems are combined systems, where you got a gas turbine jet engine, spinning a generator. Then you got the exhaust blowing out. Use that exhaust to heat up and boil water in a steam generator, right? And use that steam to power steam turbines. All right, so you're squeezing all the energy out. I mean, if you look at it, it's still less efficient than solar and wind. Now look at right. It's now cheaper to install new renewable energy than it is to operate old existing coal plants, right? It's cheaper to build the new stuff, install it, right, than it is to run existing coal plants. Yeah, Trump wants to shove coal down our throats. Well, what power company executive is going to go to coal today, right? All right. So this is electricity from most expensive to least. Nuclear is the most expensive. Coal is the next. Coal is, right? It's like 3 times more, maybe even more than 3 times, maybe 4 times more than wind and solar. Gas combined. So the most efficient gas is gas combined with steam, right? If you look at that, that's still about double wind, right? And then you got solar, then you got wind. And I believe solar's got the greatest potential. I mean, there's all sorts of different areas of solar panels. So many different types of solar panels, photovoltaic cells, so many different materials. It's not just silicon-based anymore, right? They got minerals like perovskites, which have some potential. All right. So wind and solar are the cheapest sources of energy, but they lack reliability. Sun doesn't shine all the time, right? I mean, the sun goes, and then wind isn't always there, right? Right. So it lacks reliability. That's the limitation right now. Cheapest, right? But you got to utilize it. Well, right. The best way to utilize it is to have some other means of storing it or transferring it over long distances. So energy storage will solve this, right? Batteries obviously can store energy, right? But also pumped hydro. Pumped hydro is actually the largest form of stored electrical energy right now. Hydrogen electrolysis is not that efficient, right? But you can do it, right? That's making hydrogen gas. Compressed air, it's kind of efficient, but you got limitations with adiabatic heating and cooling, and all that stuff, right? That's a problem. You got to maintain, retain that energy. Angular momentum are super. These things are super efficient. I mean, 95% efficiency, really high. Molten salts are pretty good, right? Another potential solution is a mass transit electricity grid, overlaying the existing grids. Right? You have existing distribution grids, right? Well, you have another grid solely dedicated to super high voltage or superconducting materials, or a combination, right? Right? To link Europe's nations, link all the nations together, all right? Okay, and then you cross multiple time zones, right? East and west, okay? You cross multiple time zones, and you take advantage of maximizing more sunlight that way. You run north and south, again, that can maximize more sunlight depending on the time of year. And it can also maximize climates, like desert climates that are cloud-free. This could compensate for local fluctuations in wind and solar. A real simple example. Let's say you got 2 nations right next to each other, Poland and Germany, right? Well, one day it's cloudy in Poland, but there's plenty of sun in Germany, so you send power this way. Then the next day it's cloudy in Germany, sunny in Poland. You send power this way. You know what I'm saying? Same applies to wind. Power is sent back and forth. All this could be computer controlled, right? Right. All this can be used to maximize distribution of power, supply and demand. And you know what that's going to do? That's going to level. Right now you can have individual markets, right? This is arbitrage. It's going to level. It's going to level price between markets. That's exactly what arbitrage does, right? All right. It's going to make power more reliable, make it cheaper. Okay. And utilize high sun areas like Sahara Desert. I mean, what good is the Sahara Desert? It's just a bunch of sand, all right? I don't know what the hell good it is for. So, for example, you could span 6 times. If you expand 6 time zones in either direction, east, west, maybe even go north, south, right? Right. You could potentially have 24-hour solar, all right? Sun's going to be up somewhere if you go 12 hours in each direction, right? 12 altogether, depending upon latitude and season, all right? Yeah, it's affected by that, right? How far north or south you are and what season, the time of year it is. All right, and I say an example is connecting the East Coast U.S. to the West Coast Europe. What if you had that? I mean, just think about it, right? Right? Sun comes up over here. Well, they're producing solar energy, right? It's dark over here. It's nighttime. Well, you can send energy over here. I mean, people still use electricity overnight, right? And then sun goes down over here. Well, there's still daylight over here, right? Plenty of solar beam. Send it back over here, right? Whoever company builds these cables, well, they're going to make money both ways, going this way and that. The Sahara could become a massive electricity generator, for Europe, right? So here's the Sahara, all this desert, right? That's due to the falling wind pattern right there, right? It's compressing. You got adiabatic heating, making the desert there. It's a lot of sand, good for nothing. So you just put a lot of solar panels, right? Catch all that sun, send it to Europe, right? And then you can even connect South America. Look how short that is. South America to Africa, right? I mean, coast to coast, it's short. That's a short distance compared to this distance. That's pretty long. Yeah. Now here's a brainstorm idea, and I'm totally admitting it's a brainstorm idea. I just pulled it out of my backside there, right? What about an Elon Musk like army of satellites? You know how he's building this? What's it called? Skylink or SpaceLink or I don't know, something like that. This satellite-based internet, right? He's going to have like wall-to-wall satellites throughout the sky, right? Well, what if you build the same type of satellites that run north-south right here, between the gap there, right? And you have ocean-based ground stations. I'm saying that hypothetically because I imagine there could be a lot of fears about the safety of this, right? Whether or not it's true or not, right? To transmit energy via some frequency of EMR. Who knows what frequency? I mean, even infrared, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if the engineering is possible. This is just hypothetical. I'm guessing. Probably run into some heat dissipation problems. I'm guessing because these satellites are going to be big converters of electricity. You're going to have to receive this, and then redirect it down here, right? Maybe I imagine it's going to generate some heat. And of course, this is in outer space where there's no atmosphere. It means there's going to be no conduction, no convection, right? Only means the heat dissipation is going to be radiation. So I don't know if it's possible. But I say here, Elon Musk. If anyone can figure it out, he could. I bet you he has all the knowledge in his head already. His brain is wired with all the knowledge to figure this out right now, right? I mean, I don't know all this space stuff, right? And my joke was, I said a joke in my practice that, I bet you Musk could figure this out in one session on the toilet, right? It's probably where he does his best thinking, right? I mean, I don't care where he does. He does good thinking. Doesn't matter. Examine Europe's trend in electricity production sources. All right, so we want. So So here's the here's Spain. Let's say here's U.S. Right? Okay. So look at the trend in electricity generation. All right. Let's start here with nuclear. Nuclear is falling off, right? solid fuels, hydrocarbons are falling off, right? Natural gas was rising there for a while. Now it's falling off the steepest, right? The biggest rise is in renewable. Why? Because this promises to be the cheapest. It is the cheapest. I showed you. It's the cheapest. About half as cheap as natural gas. Petroleum falling off, right? And you got some waste energy. You got some waste out of burning garbage, I guess. All right. Now, so I'm showing you how there's a shift away from natural gas. Natural gas is losing market share in electricity. All right. I'm sorry. Okay. And it's gonna go further and further. Eventually, it's gonna go the way of the dodo bird, right? And dinosaurs, right? I'd like to see it. I'd like to see natural gas used only for synthesis, making fertilizer, making synthetic materials. I don't know, whatever, right? And then I want to say the U.S. is fudging all the numbers. So we're making a bullshit. This whole thing is bullshit, right? And then they're fudging numbers. So they say, Europe is dependent upon Russia's gas 40%. Oh, bullshit, right? If you go to this website here, Energy Industry Review, right? Here's the website address there, all right? And they say that Europe imports 83% of its gas and are dependent on only 40% of their imports. So instead of 40%, it's 40% times 83%. That's 33%, right? Not 40%. So that's a fudge, right? And you got to go further. I mean, they're trying to paint this picture that almost half of Europe's energy it comes from Russia. They have so much leverage. Oh, bullshit, right? Look at the source of energy. This is a better view of energy, not just gas. Gas is only one of many, and it's a lesser one. All right, these are all more, and renewables going up even further. All right, so only 48.6% of Europe's electricity is made from hydrocarbons, of which only about a third comes from gas. Right, most of it comes from solid, right? Coal. Some places are burning peat, I guess. Latvia and Estonia have a lot of peat. Yeah, so that's what they got. That's why Russia's going to invade Estonia, because they want peat. Yeah. All right. Okay, so what you got to do is take this 33% times 0.486 times 1/3. That gives you 5.4%, right? So a little over 5%, 1 out of 20 of Europe's electricity, right, comes from Russian gas, which is small and it's falling. Electricity is more central to Europe's economies, right? You don't run your machinery off of natural gas. You run it off electricity, right? And so this is, I mean, your office lighting and computer, everything, right? It's electricity. You don't power your computers off natural gas. I mean, come on. Here, let me turn on the gas supply. Light this sucker up. And so this is a broader, more realistic view of Europe's energy situation. So the U.S. is giving fudge numbers of a distorted view. You see how bullshit that is? It just makes you mad. Thus, Russia has little leverage over only a tiny portion of Europe's energy. But you see how they can sell this to, I honestly don't think our congressmen and senators are all that smart. They all sign this crap, right? They're not that bright, right? Or they're just damn lazy. I can see them just like staring at some CIA PowerPoint presentation. Oh yeah, okay, bunch of zombies. Okay, electricity is more central to your. Okay, I went there. I went there. This means the USA focus on 40% is a lying exaggeration. This is bullshit. Now, dependence on Russian gas is highly concentrated with only 8 European countries, not 11, and having 72%, more than 70% or more, not 75, right? And this dependence this is old data. I'll go through this in a second. So they're being bullshit again. They're fudging the numbers, right? Uh, Here are the 8 countries with high dependence, European countries on high dependence on Russian gas. Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, and Bulgaria. Okay, you see that? Right? And what did I say here? And each of these are East European countries with small GDPs, meaning there's not much leverage. There's not much more that Russia can squeeze out of them. Right? Right. So U.S. is painting a picture that Russia has control over all of Europe. Well, that's bullshit. It's only mostly over Eastern Europe, and they're all small damn economies. All right. Look at Estonia, 42 billion GDP. Remember my joke? Give Tesla a year or two. I swear, just a year or two. You know how rapidly Tesla's expanding. They got the super plant in China. They got the super plant in Berlin. Who knows where the next super? Right? Maybe Spain or something like that. I don't know. They're going to keep expanding. Give them a year or two. Tesla's going to have more annual income than the entire damn country, the GDP of Estonia, right? I mean, that's trivial. Gas acts over all Europe. Oh, bullshit, right? So you have limited leverage. The limited Russian leverage is only getting weaker with increased competition, right? So you got liquid natural gas terminals everywhere going in. Finland, Lithuania has gas terminals, all right? Estonia and Latvia are the only ones that don't, right? But Estonia has the one that's half built, partially built, and Latvia is planning to build one with South Korean assistance, all right? Black Sea gas is coming in, right? You got Romanian gas, you got Turkey gas that's there. You got all these pipelines coming up for the Baltics, Brua, right? You got wait a minute, Brua here. That's Bulgaria. That's connecting the Trans-Anatolian to the Bulgaria, to Romania, Hungary, and then to Austria, right? You got Trans-Anatolian expansion, so this pipe is going to be expanded, possibly. They're considering that. And then you got from here, you got the Trans-Adriatic, you got the Brua, you got the East Ring, you got the Ionian Adriatic. And then you got to compete with cheap renewable electricity, which is getting cheaper and cheaper. You expand storage, and I like to see storage expanded to the individual home owners. All right, and then you get a mass transit grid. Major, basically super highways of super high voltage electricity going back and forth. All right, so let's look at this old data. All right, so Finland, here it says Finland has 100%. So this is the data that they're using, right? Finland has 100% dependence on Russia. Oh, bullshit. Finland has 4 liquid natural gas terminals. Don't tell me they have 100% dependence on Russia. They don't. Estonia, 100%. Well, okay, they do, right? Right. Latvia, they do, right? But Lithuania's got a natural gas terminal, liquid natural gas terminal, and they're expanding it, right? Slovakia, Hungary, and Bulgaria, Slovenia all can get different sources of gas, right? Brewer's coming up this way. Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, and Austria. And look, okay, you got the Ionian Adriatic coming up this way, but you already have this pipeline's built already. Trans-Anatolian and Trans-Adriatic tapping into the Italian pipelines, all right, which tap into the Algerian pipeline, so both Algerian and Shah Deniz gas can come up here, go to Slovenia. They have alternative gas, 72%. Bulgaria, 97%. Bullshit. They're sitting right next to Romania. They're sitting right next to the Trans-Anatolian. Bullshit. Right? This is old. I bet you this is the crap they fed to the congressmen. Right? Ultimately, reliance upon export of natural gas is not a long-term strength for Russia, but rather a fundamental weakness, a vulnerability, especially with one, Dutch disease, which stultifies the Russian economy. All right, I talked about Dutch disease, how it affects currency, right? How that hinders export of any sort of manufactured goods from your home industries. You know, it stultifies other sectors of your economy. Advancing technology and renewable energy will bring price down, right? Making it more competitive, making it harder to compete against. You're chewing up market share, stealing market share from natural gas. Eventually, it's going to take it all, right? Development of energy storage, development of long-distance energy transport grid. All this spells doom for Russia, and I'm thinking maybe 2 decades down the line, maybe even sooner. Who knows how fast these guys are going to move? You get government assistance. I like to see rebates and tax credits on individual level home storage electricity systems, right? Give people a chance to make some money off this, right? It's not just going to make the money. It's going to benefit the economy, right? It's going to reduce energy prices. That's going to be a benefit to the economy. All right, and it's going to be a benefit to everyone's wallet, right? So, summary: the reasons for United States sanctions attacking Russian gas are all bullshit, right? The USA is grossly exaggerating Russia's ability to threaten Europe's energy security. Europe has multiple other sources of gas in pipelines and liquid natural gas terminals, and new sources coming online like Romania and so forth, right? Europe has other energy options, for example, electricity, right? And the price for wind and solar are falling, right? Russia threatens their own market share if they threaten European energy security. So don't give me, Russia holds its gas axe over the head and can screw Europe anytime they want. Oh, bullshit. They do so, they commit suicide, right? It might also be some Japanese dude with a sword, right? Harikari, right? And that has been proven historically. Push for Trans-Caspian. You remember that? Okay, so Ukraine screws Russia. Russia's like, oh crap, what can we do? What leverage do we have? We'll cut off gas. Well, they screw themselves because they screw Europe. What does Europe do? They push hard to get a Trans-Caspian, Trans-Anatolian, and a White Stream. Well, what panned out? Trans-Anatolian won out there, right? That exists today, and you know what? It's a short shot to build that Trans-Caspian. They need some more gas coming over. Man, you tap into Turkmenistan. That's the 6th largest natural gas reserves in the world, right? Build that short Trans-Caspian, right? I mean, you could probably have to do the Trans-Anatolian expansion to get all that gas over there. Russia will only accelerate its own demise. So if they threaten, I'm saying Russia's going down in the long run, right? But if they threaten Europe's energy, they only accelerate that. They only accelerate entrance of non-Russian gas competitors, right? I mean, Russia's got to keep price down, so they keep competition out. Russia couldn't even leverage Ukraine. Remember that? Ukraine was giving them problems, right? Ukraine is like totally dependent upon Russian gas, right next door to Russia, right? And it's thumbing its nose at Russia. How do you think Russia's going to leverage Europe, which is far less dependent on Russian gas? It's got multiple other options, and it's further away, and it's protected by NATO. I mean, it's only the threat only exists in some psychological, unrealistic, paranoid scenario, which is common. I mean, people in this, in reality, this is what would happen if Russia really tried to leverage Europe. Think about what's going to happen. All right, think of this scenario, right? Russia's going to say, we're going to cut off gas to you, right, to apply some sort of political and military pressure on you. Oh, bullshit, right? Well, what's Europe going to do? They're going to switch to other available sources of gas, right? If they need to, they'll build rapidly, probably get, let's say ExxonMobil sells liquefied natural gas. Well, they'll get ExxonMobil to finance development of a liquid gas terminal, right? Probably be a joint venture there, both the government or maybe a local gas company, and then they'll finance the liquid natural gas terminal, and they'll start selling more liquid natural gas, right? Or they'll switch to other available gas, right, including liquid natural gas. Europe would accelerate construction of new pipelines, new liquid gas, natural gas terminals, and develop other sources of gas, right? I mean, what's it going to do? It's going to raise price. What's that going to do? It's going to encourage exploration for new sources. Why? Because it's going to be now cost possible, right? It's cost effective. Price goes up, right? It's now cost effective to bring in marginally lower profitable sources. Europe could accelerate their switch to wind and solar and build a mass transit grid with energy storage. Right, we talked about Europe would circle the wagons and increase both their military spending and support for NATO. This will increase the European military threat to Russia. Right? Russia's going to see that. Right? It's you think Europe's just going to sit back and do nothing, right? Right? They're going to circle the wagons. Now, European nations would circle the wagons and solidify a unified front against Russia. Nothing forges unity more than a common enemy, right? A common threat. In all of this, Russia's just going to lose. They're going to lose in lost revenues. I bet you they push it too far, right? Try to leverage something, right? Europe's going to slam sanctions on them. They'll slap sanctions on them, right? Economic sanctions. And, if Europe's build up their military forces, well, that's going to be a threat to Russian military security. Russia's not all that strong, right? We'll look at some real history about Russian military effectiveness. Russia lacks the economic wherewithal to sustain loss of revenue and increased military threat. All the USA figures are number fudge bullshit exaggerations. It's not 11 nations. It's only 8 nations that are highly vulnerable. It's not 75. I changed it to 72 because Slovenia is 72. But again, this is old numbers, and this is even smaller today. This is old data. Don't tell me Bulgaria is 97%. Don't tell me Finland is 100% dependent on Russia, right? All 8 high dependence nations are in Eastern Europe, and all have small economies, meaning there isn't much there for Russia to leverage, right? There isn't much there for Russia to squeeze out some more, right? This does not represent all of Europe. It's only in the East, right? The U.S. paints a picture. All of Europe is vulnerable. Oh, bullshit, right? There's so many other sources of gas in other parts of Europe. This is the only high vulnerability. It's like a line here. Eastern Europe line, right? It's isolated. They're all small economies. This is exaggerated. All this is bullshit. All right? You know what? If people don't remember the facts, it's like, what? He's crazy. It's unbelievable. Okay. All right. So all 8 high dependence nations have alternative sources of gas these days, except for Estonia and Latvia. But Russia doesn't even have complete leverage over them because of the threat of a liquid natural gas terminal or even a pipeline. And I'm thinking, well, why does Estonia and Latvia still do not have alternative gas? Well, this is my guess. And I'm saying it's my guess, all right? There's a poor prognosis for investment returns on either a liquid natural gas terminal or much, right, to those countries. Why? One, they're small countries with small GDPs, small populations, right? There's not much of a market there. You invest all that money to build that infrastructure, well, you're not getting much return. It'll take a long time to pay back the return of that small demand, right? And it's already exposed to cheap Russian gas. I mean, you got the threat that if you try to muscle into that market, Russia's just going to drive down price, right? Right? Oh, that horrible, evil villain Russia making gas cheap for Estonia, and right? That's bad for their economy, right? No, that's good for their economy. I mean, the way to distort the crap out of things, right? And all this data is old data with all the new pipelines and gas sources now available. Dependence is falling, right? Russia's leverage is falling. They didn't have much to begin with, right? USA focus on 40% dependence on Russian gas is bullshit. First, it's really 33%, right? And that's only gas. Right? Gas is only one type of energy, and it's not a minor one, but it's a lesser one, right? Nuclear is even more. Renewable, nuclear, solid fuel, right? There's natural gas, and it's falling. Don't give me this crap. Okay. Second, in terms of energy security, gas is only one type of energy. It is more accurate to examine electricity, for which only 5.4% of Europe's electricity depends on Russian gas. I mean, 5%. 1 out of 20. Right? That's scary, right? Russia holds leverage over, because, I mean, come on. In short, the U.S. focus is both dishonest. It's dishonest in both fudging numbers and focusing on a single isolated sector of the energy market, just gas, right? You got to look at the big picture. There's multiple sources of energy. USA efforts to force Russia to send its gas through Ukraine is bullshit, when Ukraine's bad behavior is a cause of European energy insecurity, right? So you're trying to jack up that insecurity. Therefore, it is fair to say the USA is threatening Europe's energy security. The liars will no doubt, I'm just kind of, predicting what the liars are going to say. The liars will no doubt argue that Ukraine needs money to defend against a Russian invasion. Oh, bullshit. Russian invasion of all Ukraine is super unlikely. Russian invasion of Ukraine is, so far-fetched and ridiculous. I mean, why would they want to, invade all? Ukraine is resource poor with a crap economy and small GDP. I mean, they have a little bit of oil, they'll have a little bit of gas, right? But their best resource is probably their damn soil, right? That used to be the Soviet Union's breadbasket. Russia is militarily weak, not strong. Russian occupation force will assume a static defense. I mean, that's going to happen, right? You want to take a country, well, you got to occupy it. You got to hold it. What then you assume a static defense, and then you always lose the initiative, right? And then in addition to that, Ukraine's a fairly large country. It's going to have long lines of communication, right? In addition to that, you're going to get a U.S. proxy war. So the U.S. is, U.S. can fight this war as a proxy, right? With a little sweat off our brow, right? Get some special forces training, right? And then all these three, occupation force, large country, long lines of communication, special forces training, especially in guerrilla warfare, hit and run, right? It's going to make Russia vulnerable to hit and run tactics, right? Plus, you're going to get U.S. proxy war support from weapons and satellite intel. I'm thinking this, maybe even drones with Hellfire missiles, right? You're going to take out their armor, not just with Javelin missiles. We're selling them Javelin missiles, providing them Javelin missiles, right? Our latest and greatest fire and forget anti-tank missile. And, why not sell them drones with Hellfire? Right? This is all standard technology, nothing sophisticated here. And also, it's going to be a low visibility war for the U.S. public. The U.S. public is going to not even notice it's going on. So it's going to have indefinite sustainability, right? But not for Russia, right? It's going to be a long, involved war. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be a quagmire, right? It's going to necessitate a large military force in Russia, which means what? Russia, 3/4 of Russian force is these one-year conscripts who do everything they can to evade conscription. There's draft evasions, right? And they're one-year conscripts, right? That's all Putin can impose upon them, because they bitch and they're not going to do 2 years, right? And from what the stuff I read, they don't learn much. They don't care to learn much, right? They just want to do their time and get the hell out, right? And they just get abused by the cadre, right? They're not really like NCOs, right? They're just a little bit more senior to them, to these conscripts, and they're going to be totally ineffective, useless. There's going to be a high death rate. There's going to be a high desertion rate. This happens. There's going to be a lot of discipline problems, right? The high death toll is going to fuel public backlash in Russia. I wouldn't doubt if they chase Putin out of town, right? Russia's vital soft underbelly is going to rush to break away. You know why I say this? Because it only happened in the Russo-Japanese War. Like Chechnya. How many times did Chechnya break away? Oh, Russo-Japanese War. Chechnya breaks away. World War I. Chechnya breaks away. World War II. Operation Barbarossa. Germany invades. Chechnya breaks away. Soviet Union falls apart. Chechnya breaks away. You think they won't break away again? Come on. Russia makes a stupid, adventuristic move into Ukraine. For what? Right? Not going to get much out of it. Right? Well, Chechen's break. That's a soft underbelly. Why? Because what runs through that whole area is Islamic. The second Chechen War formed a Caucasus Emirates, right? They're kind of a unified front. They're all those little Muslim provinces, right? What runs through there? Pipelines, gas and oil, right? You think Russia can afford losing that, right? I mean, come on. You know they're going to break away, right? You think Russia you can go do some stupid thing like this, right? They're going to shoot themselves in the foot. Russia would suffer immediately from UN sanctions hitting their economy, right? They're going to get this. They're going to get whacked for real here. And what are they going to get here? Nothing. And you think the Ukrainians are going to leave anything for them? It's going to be slash and burn, right? I mean, come on. Or the liars will attack. Well, what about Crimea or Eastern? These two are entirely different, right? I'll examine these separately. I cannot give you a detailed analysis here. There's no comparison between taking Crimea and taking all Ukraine, right? Those are completely different from a large-scale invasion of all Ukraine, which I'll explain later. Russia will be bled dry. I mean, it'll be easy to bleed Russia dry with just a proxy war, right? There'll be no sweat off U.S. brow, right? No domestic political backlash. No one's gonna really give a damn. It maybe even be covered in the news a little bit. But hell, no one's gonna give a damn. I swear, no American's gonna give a damn. And eventually they'll say, "Oh, damn, Russians deserve it," right? They would, right? If they do something like that. All right. It is. I mean, so they'd be supported, right? There'd be no resistance because no American boys are dying, right? Hell, you don't even have to have the special forces trainers in country, right? Just train them right outside. I don't know, in Poland or something like that, right next door. It can easily be argued that Russia is far more a threat in its excessive dependence on gas sales to Europe than Europe is threatened by any potential Russian threat to its energy security. Russia is more in a precarious position, which I've shown to be fudged, distorted bullshit. This whole threat stuff is bullshit. They fudge numbers, right? Right? They don't have a realistic. They focus only on gas, and they say, "Oh, that's all Europe's energy." Oh, bullshit! It's only a small portion. I mean, the whole thing is bullshit. Russia is in a position of weakness in terms of multiple non-Russian gas sources already available, expanding non-Russian gas sources, expansion of electricity using falling price, especially from cheap wind and solar supported by storage and long-distance mass energy transit grids, right? Moreover, Russia has a profound long-term vulnerability due to Dutch disease. In the long run, this is going to kill Russia. It stultifies their economy, right? Which will be hit hard when cheap electricity replaces gas, right? And don't forget, Russian oil exports will also take a hit as Europe electrifies transportations. That's another way. Russia's heavily dependent upon oil, gas transport or exports, right? That's going to get a hit, right? The more and more Europe's transitions. And what are they doing? What are these European nations doing? They're pushing for targets like, 2030, 100%, electric transportation. All right. Why switch it? Why switch to electric? Well, the technology makes it feasible. The range of these batteries are only going up. Right? The performance of these batteries are only going up. The lifetime of these batteries are only going up. You know, Elon Musk is talking about a 1,000,000-mile battery right now, right? And the cost per mile traveled is going to be 2 to 5 times cheaper. Well, how do you like that? On the max end, 1/5. Instead of paying $10, you pay $2, right? I don't know what does it cost to fill up. Let's say you got a large SUV. Let's say it costs $40 to fill up your tank, right? Right? What's the math there? You pay $8 instead of $40. You pay $8, right? I mean, that's a significant savings, right? Plus, in addition to that, you're going to have lower maintenance costs. Why? Because electric cars are simpler. I mean, it's higher tech, but it's simpler. I mean, you know, internal combustion has all these complex support systems. Well, you don't need that in an electric car. All you need is a battery and electric motors, right? You know, in an internal combustion engine, you need a radiator, you need a cooling system, you need a lubricating system, you need the fuel pump system, you need the alternator, right? On and on and on. All these other crap systems, right? You know, all that stuff breaks down, right? So maintenance costs will be cheaper. In fact, I believe the best way to attack Russia is to accelerate the transition to wind and solar. Not by these stupid sanctions, which are both baseless and kicks Russia further into a corner, which could elicit a defensive response by Russia, which will then be portrayed by both lying U.S. politicians and U.S. media as a blatant act of aggression. You know they'll feed the American public that crap, right? And they'll buy it. Why? Remember that commercial with, what was that, cereal? Was it cereal? Oh no, was it spaghetti or something? What was that? I don't know. You know, these kids sitting at the table. Oh yeah, oh, it's supposed to be good for you. It probably tastes bad. Well, let's try it. No, you try it. Right? I know. We'll get Mikey to try it. He'll eat anything. That's like the American public. The American public's like Mikey. They'll eat anything. I swear. Right? I mean, not all the American public. There's some people who are intelligent, but I honestly think, you know, the 99.9999% they just, you know, whatever's fed in social reality, they'll believe. And I've taught that thousands of times, and it still works every time. Wind and solar have the greatest potential for price reduction, greatest potential for technology improvement in production process, increase in production volume, right? All that stuff brings down price. Wind and solar will only get more efficient with development of energy storage and mass electricity transit grid, both of which would level the duck curve. I mean, that's what you want to do here. You want to level the duck curve, all right? Decrease inefficiency. You want to have arbitrage, right? Now, what's interesting about renewable energy is you got, you know, different markets that are close to each other in both space and time. All right, you know, got clouds over here, sunny over here. All right, you got wind blowing here. It's dead over here. Right, you know, different times of day. You got multiple markets in different dimensions, both space and time. Right. Well, what does arbitrage do? You know, I mean, this will serve as a form of arbitrage. It'll level it all, level price, level production, right? All right. So I say wind and solar will only get more efficient with development of energy storage and mass electricity transit grid, both of which would level the duck curve, right? And I believe, you know, if you want to spend some stimulus money, all right, government, the best money will be spent on rebates and credits for home storage. All right, help the average homeowner, you know, buy a system. You know, maybe a little excess storage capacity, whatever. The focus should be there even more than on solar panels and wind, right? Because this is what's lagging right behind. This is where you got to play catch up, and this is going to be strategic. You know, remember I said that in principle, I'm against subsidies, right? This would be a subsidy. I'm against subsidies, right? because it causes an inefficient allocation of resources, right? You know, a lot of politicians do subsidies. Why? Because, right, they get political benefit from it, right? I mean, why are they subsidizing oil? This is bullshit. We should be subsidizing oil, right? If it were me, I would take all these oil subsidies, flip it over here, right? Rebates and tax credits to homeowners to install home storage, right? Then they can be individual providers of storage to help the electrical grid, right? Help bring down costs for everyone else. Right, so this would be a strategic investment, right? And, you know, I talked about, you know, subsidizing exports. Well, you don't want to do that, right? Because that's gonna result in tit for tat. Someone's gonna do it to us. You want someone to do it to us, right? Right? You want to have a level playing field, and you don't want those games being played. All right. So all four of these: wind, solar, storage, mass electricity transit, will be economic engines for one, investment, for construction jobs, for economic growth, including increasing the velocity of money and serving as a hedge against inflation, you know, to the extent that it brings down price of energy. Now, energy is what? Energy is a ubiquitous input cost, kind of like transportation. Every business needs energy. Every business needs transportation. Well, electrify both, you know. Get renewable energy and electrified transportation. It'll bring down the price of both. Both energy storage and mass electricity transit grids will create entirely new markets, which means new economies, which means economic growth. Remember how I said that, you know, today you don't have to fight and claw for a bigger piece of the pie of an existing market? Well, you just invented new technology, because that's going to transition to a new product, which is going to be a brand new market. So instead of like fighting with someone else to capture a larger market share or all of it, well, you just make a brand new damn market that grows the economy. That's the way it is today. The energy storage market will be a cross between a commodity market and the service sector. Why? Because you're not producing energy, you're just providing a service. Energy storage can be considered providing a service, right? But that's fine, right? Right? It doesn't matter if you're not making something, and people are like, well, you got to make something real. No, it's about making value, right? You make a material product, it is only worth something because it has value. Well, the same thing with anything else. It doesn't have to be a material product. It just has to have value. That's what drives our economy. That's what drives wealth. Wealth is based upon value. Energy storage providers could range in size from utility scale, you know, large power companies, right? PG&E or what is it? DPL here, Dayton Power and Light, right? Or Commonwealth Edison, Chicago, whatever, right? You know, or it could be small startup companies, right? You know, get some venture capital, get a bunch of guys together, get an investment group to go together, right? Start a small, or even like a home, garage, or basement company, right? So let's say you want to have a dedicated space in your house, right, for a battery, I don't know, like a flow battery, all right? You got a basement, let's say you got a big basement. Well, you just portion one part of your basement to build a damn flow battery, right? And you make some income. If it's supported by, make it possible, supported by damn government, you know, help here, all right? Why? Because it's strategic. It's going to overall improve our electricity grid, make the cost of energy cheaper, which is going to help our economy in the long run, right? Okay. So what am I saying here? Okay, so energy storage providers could range in size here. The expansion of individual storage providers would represent a democratization of energy. You know, I mean, think of the Koch brothers dominating energy, I don't know, in the west, southwest somewhere, right? Right? Man, I'd rather see a democratization of energy where individual suppliers provide cheap and efficient energy, right? So you get to earn some money, right, while making energy cheaper for everyone else. You get to feel good about both ways. You make some more extra cash on the side, you feel good, right? But also you can say, man, I'm helping society as a whole. I'm helping the other people who don't have this capacity. I'm helping them have cheaper electricity. All right? How can you go wrong there? Energy storage service will be both a form of index arbitrage, controlled automatically by computers, and today AI is becoming more available. So whoever's designing these smart energy systems, right? You can make it home units now, cheap enough to be home units. How? I don't know. Maybe it's just software programs you can buy now these days. I don't know what, right? I bet you can just use. It's going to get to the point where all you got to do is buy some software program, right? Get it online, right? Download it, whatever. I don't know, right? And then improved by AI, some AI program, all right? That's going to, it's going to analyze your individual, unique home situation, every aspect about it, and improve it automatically, right? So it's going to make it more and more efficient. It's going to make you more and more money, right? Possibilities for mass energy storage grid include super high voltage. All right. Now, I know people may attack. Oh, that's crazy. That's you believe in aliens. Man, China has this already. China's got a 1.1 million volt system here. I taught you about that, right? Did I teach you about that? Yeah, here's China, right? Way out here, out west, the northwest here, this is all high plateau desert, good for nothing stuff, right? Well, right? Why not just make this a power generating station, right? Load it up with photovoltaic cells, right? Now, where's their population? Out here? No, this is like barren, right? Their population centers are out east, right? But this could be a power generator for out east. So, for example, right? The highest energy usage is between 5 o'clock and, let's say, 9 o'clock. Just like the duck curve, right? Here, 5 o'clock starts going up. Here's 9 o'clock dropping off, right? All right. So what happens with solar power? It's dropped off. Sun's going down, right? But now, let's say you got 1, 2, maybe even 3 time zones here. You still got sunlight here, right? Sun's down, dark, right? 8 o'clock at night. Well, you still got sunlight here. Just powered over here, right? See what I'm saying? Right? All right, where was I? All right, so index arbitrage. That's computer controlled buying and selling arbitrage. You buy low, sell high, right? Daily basis. And what it is, it's leveling between markets. You buy high in one market, sell low. Well, eventually you do that enough, it's going to level the price. That's okay. That's what you want. It's going to level up energy production as well. All right. So possibility for mass storage grid. Okay, super high. Develop a super cheap superconductivity. This is just brainstorming. I think I don't know what's possible here. This is better for chemists and physicists, right? What if you have thin metallic filaments coated with graphene? I know graphene is like 200 times more conductive than the best metals, right? But the problem with graphene is, right, it's hard to make unbroken sheets, large unbroken sheets. And when you have breaks, you have transmission problems, conduction problems there, right? But if you have thin filaments, right, even if you got breaks, maybe with the thin filaments you can make, through the production process, less broken sheets of graphene. But even when you have breaks, they can jump across the metal to the other, and overall reduce resistance, right? Then if you pack these into cables, a lot of them into larger strands, and wrap it with a wire cable, right? And then more, so then the whole satellite-based energy transport. I don't know if it's feasible. Again, this is brainstorming. Right? But if anyone can figure out, Elon Musk could. My guess is there would be heat dissipation problems. Right? I went through this already. But the energy storage and mass energy transmit markets would make possible a new currency. Like energy credits or something like that. which could be convertible into euro, increasing demand for euro, allowing expansion of the euro supply without inflation, which will grow the GDP. I mean, it's going to grow. You're increasing the money supply without inflation, and it's also increasing the velocity of money. Money's going back and forth, and no doubt, a lot of that money is going to be earned income, and is going to spill over into increased transactions in other goods and services, even the purchase of infrastructure to support this. Right? Simply put, income will be made and then spent on other things. Right? People are going to make money. They're not going to, just shove it in a mattress. Right? Europe would shift from being an energy consumer to an energy producer, which will be the real energy independence and thus the real energy security. All right, not these freaking sanctions. Right, this is going to give real energy independence and real security. All right. With all of this, I don't see Europe at risk at all. I see great opportunities for Europe. I see Russia at risk, especially in the long run, with Dutch disease and the rise of cheap electricity, which is going to eventually replace gas. I'm sorry, it's going to happen. I don't know how long it's going to take. I'm guessing a couple decades, right? But it could be faster. You watch, if European governments have the right policies, all right, it can accelerate this. Russia better get its act together fast and shift from reliance upon hydrocarbon export, develop some high-tech sector, or they're looking at a big hit in the not-too-distant future. I'm guessing 2 decades, right? Oh, the scary Russian threat's going to be in the poorhouse. Wow. What is the real reason for a congressional resolution attacking Russian gas? Is it really a Russian threat to Europe energy security? Bullshit. Is it a heartfelt desire to help Ukraine? Bullshit. Is it to elbow our way into the European gas market? I'm thinking, yeah, probably. Right? What did Trump say? He said, quote, "We are going to be selling you." Look, how does Trump talk? He's got this like little snotty. Yeah, we're going to be. No, that's not Trump. I don't know. We're going. You got to use some hand gestures. You got to clap like a seal, begging for for a sardine or something. We're going to be selling LNG, and we'll have to be competing with the pipeline. He doesn't even know what damn pipeline, Nord Stream 2. Right? The guy doesn't even know what pipeline's going on here. Oh, the pipeline. Right? He's like, the bears, the pipeline. To manufacture the perception of a Russian threat. Yeah, that's what they do. Threaten Russian gas to push them into actions, which we will then portray as aggressive, like their invasion of Georgia, which was a classic get you game, right? To further shift Russia towards China to increase the perceived Cold War threat, which is anti-divide and conquer. I mean, this is just stupid, pushing them together. But I tell you what, this last threat looks to have grown cold in 2020. Recently, Putin's been distancing himself from China. China's been aggressive, doing some crap, near India and stuff too. They're pushing all around, right? You know what I honestly believe? This is my belief about China. I'll talk about this in greater detail later in another lesson. But I believe China will take whatever it can get for free, right? You're going to get it for free, they'll take it, right? All you got to do is stand up to them, right? Especially in the South China Sea, because they got far more to lose, right? And they have far less capacity as far as naval power. Hell, they're so dependent upon exports, right? You think they want a shooting war? You think they want push come to shove? Hell, we'll just blockade. Just shut down anything going in and out of there. China will be screwed. Right? You think that's going to hurt us? That's going to hurt them far worse. Are you kidding me? Anyway, so another thing is I think they're actually shifting towards they're taking a page from the U.S. textbook on military industrial complex. Try to boost, a little extra demand there, a little Keynesian economics there. Is this part of the USA pushing a new Cold War? Right? Shoot. Does the U.S. have a pattern of doing it? Does the U.S. have a warmonger history? No, you're crazy. Come on. If you don't remember this, What can I do? Can I shove a funnel in your ear and jam it down? Get a ramrod to shove it in your ear? Yeah, it's not going to stick. If you don't remember this, I mean, there's no point. Has the U.S. started many wars in tricky ways? I showed you so many wars, right? If you don't remember any of it, which is the case in 99.999%, I mean, only very few people retain stuff. Is this part of pushing a new Cold War? Yeah. Instead of a new Cold War arms race, our national resources are better spent on the transition to a new energy system. I mean, this could be that. You remember how the 90s was driven by the economic engine was the .com, internet stuff, right? I'm telling you what, transition of energy system could be an engine for a decade or even two, right? And installing all the infrastructure for electrified transportation, right, which is going to bring cost advantages in the end, both of which will bring a major cost reduction in input costs, which will grow our economy, make the USA more competitive in commercial markets, all right, and as a side advantage, help mitigate the high costs of climate change, right? I know that there exists people today that, oh, that's debatable, right? There's no more flooding events, severe weather events today than there was 100 years ago. Well, look at the data, right? On and on. I mean, I showed you that data. I know 99.999% remember nothing. That's just the way it is. So what's going to happen with the masses retaining none of this? And I said the 99.99999% will retain nothing. With that, the large will swoop in, shift all focus to a simple, stupid, baseless wave of social reality that's easy to understand. Any idiot can read it in 10 seconds. It'll be one-word reality, bullshit, debatable, unbelievable, conspiracy. Or they'll pass some stupid joke. Or they'll have a single-point attack. Like anybody, they'll focus all attention here. Oh, he thinks thin filaments with graphene will make superconductors. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. I'm just type. Oh, then they'll shift focus. Oh, he thinks that you can have satellites transport electricity. Watch them shift all focus here. Everything else forgotten. Right? Just watch that. That's exactly what the liar's going to do. I bet. Right? Or they'll put words in my mouth. Right? And attack that. Setting up a straw man. Easy to knock down crap I didn't say. No one goes back and does. I mean, there's on and on and on. You can go with methods of manipulating perceptions, and they'll all work. I mean, I don't have much confidence in average human intelligence. I'm sorry. It sounds mean, but yeah, I'm just being honest. All right. So again, I don't want to go through all this again, but it's all bullshit. This whole, right? Why are they attacking Russian gas? Right? It's bullshit. They're just trying to stir up more problems. Threat to European energy. That's such exaggerated bullshit. If you don't remember any of the facts, well, that's debatable. All right. That's it for that lecture. Next lecture, we're going to get into nuclear arms race. Yeah. How we're pushing the nuclear arms race.